Hello and welcome to my latest video. Now, quick disclaimer, people know Harry Greb did not fight in the 1890-1910 era, but over the last few days I've been mulling and I've decided with the 1910-1930 era you get a number of fighters with full ratings for opponents, others with partial, others with virtually none, and some with none. So I thought to myself, I'm now going to cover videos from 1890 to 1930. One of the points to that is once I start on videos after that, everybody will be in pretty much the full rating era. So here's the video on Harry Greb. Okay, so Harry Greb had an enormous career and he's a true all-time great. Okay, so let us go through his career video. So Harry Greb, I mean, when you look at this first slide, top to bottom with top names, elite names, or all-time greats. Good morning, Martin. Good to see you, buddy. So Harry Greb starts out on this massive resume with a 4-fight series with former lineal middleweight champion George Chipp, who was rough and tumble and could be a very hard task on his good day. Harry Greb won 2 of those fights, lost 1 and drew 1, and he also lost to Petty Graves. Some sites list him as Kid Graves, that was his nickname, Kid Graves. Next up is former light heavyweight champion Bob Mohar. Harry Greb fought him on 6 occasions, winning all 6 fights, and he twice defeated former lineal middleweight champion Al McCoy from 2 fights. Next up are 2 of the great light heavyweights of all time, and certainly of that era, but of all time regardless. Okay, the first is the Giant Slayer Jack Dillon. Harry Greb fought him on 2 occasions. He beat him the first time. The second time Dillon said, I didn't take him that serious, so he took him more serious for the second fight and got beat even easier. Because he upgraded, but Greb upgraded as well. So he defeated Dillon twice. Okay, he also scored 6 wins from 6 against Hall of Fame light heavyweight Battling Levinsky. Next up is middleweight Mike O'Dowd, who kept spearing Greb with those left hands. He was tricky. He managed to get the point win and refused a rematch, but Greb did lose to Mike O'Dowd. Mike O'Dowd is one of that small, rare group of fighters who defeated Greb who also didn't get beaten by him. Now, next up, okay, is former light heavyweight champion and very capable fighter Mike Mateague. Harry Greb fought him on 2 occasions, winning both times, and Greb, of course, won 1 and lost 1 from the rough and tumble 2-fight series with Kid Norfolk. Next up is the fighting Marine Gene Tunney. Harry Greb fought Gene Tunney 5 times, scoring 1 win with 3 losses, 2 of them, one of them controversial, and 1 draw that was controversial. Never mind, no, I don't go on opinion. Harry Greb won 1, lost 3, and drew 1. And he 6 times fought another all-time great, okay, the great Philly Phantom Tommy Loughran. Now, Harry Greb won 4 of those 6 fights with 1 loss and 1 draw. I mean, he's already fought an incredible list of names, okay, but the names go on. Next up is former lineal middleweight champion Johnny Wilson. He made Greb wait for a while, but Greb whipped him with ease. Harry Greb actually said before the fight to one of his confidants, I've waited so long, they're not going to cheat me out and DQ me. So he actually fought quite a clean fight for him, but completely blizzarded Johnny Wilson and won convincingly. But he then won 2 further fights, so he won all 3 fights against Johnny Wilson. And next up is Tiger Flowers, okay, the deacon from Georgia. Harry Greb fought him in a trilogy, scoring 1 win with 2 losses and no draws. And the final 2 names on here, again, both Hall of Famers. The first is former light heavyweight champion Jimmy Slattery, and the final name is the Toy Bulldog, okay, the welterweight to heavyweight contender and champion at welterweight and middleweight Mickey Walker. He did also challenge for a light heavyweight version of the title. So yeah, that first slide, nearly 50 fights on there, on just that first slide. Incredible fight runs already, okay? But we're just scratching the surface. We have more slides to go, so on to slide 2, okay? And slide 2 starts with an enormous name, okay? Top 10 all-time great Maxi Rosenblum. Even though Greb was later in his career, he just had too much for Maxi at that point. But Maxi did actually pay Greb homage by saying, you know, he would try and mimic his style, and he did, throwing lots of punches, okay, being defensive, not getting tagged clean very much himself. So I guess that's the ultimate form of flattery, to try and replicate your conqueror. Next up, another all-time great, Billy Misk, okay. Harry Greb fought him 3 times, scoring 1 win, 1 loss and 1 draw, and he also defeated the great defensive fighter Jack Blackburn in their single fight together. Next up is Tommy Gibbons, okay, another Hall of Famer. See, after slide 1 we're still on Hall of Famers. Tommy Gibbons, okay, Harry Greb fought him 4 times. Greb scoring 2 wins with 2 losses. And he also won and lost, okay, to the even more skilled, in my opinion, St. Paul Phantom Mike Gibbons, okay. Greb lost to Gibbons the first fight, and then Gibbons went on a long unbeaten run that was ended by Harry Greb in the rematch. Next up, another Hall of Famer, okay, Jeff Smith, Jerome Jeffords. Harry Greb fought him 7 times, scoring 6 wins, no loss, and 1 draw. And he 3 times defeated another Hall of Famer, okay, Leo Florian Hook, the flyweight to heavyweight contender, and just incredible fighter all round. So next up, another former pound for pounder, not a Hall of Famer or former champion, but a very, very good fighter, Eddie McGaughty. Harry Greb defeated him. And then we go on to some more of the contenders, okay. Twice Harry Greb beat former heavyweight contender Jack Reno. He also beat light heavyweight and heavyweight contender Charlie Weinert in their one fight together, and beat former light heavyweight contender Martin Burke. Next up is former middleweight contender, okay, Frank Moody from Wales. And then he twice also beat former middleweight contender and tough fighter himself, okay, Ted Moore, winning both fights from their 2-fight series. Next up, light heavyweight contender Jimmy Delaney, okay, who was actually a very good fighter. People always talk about Jack Delaney, and Jimmy Delaney in some ways has an indifferent looking record, but he was actually a very good fighter, had a very cultured left hand, very good left jab and left hook. He was a real proposition on his day. Harry Greb beat him all 3 times they fought, and then Greb closes out the slide with another win over a former top 10 heavyweight contender, Quinton Romero Rojas. So he's already beating heavyweights on there as well. Billy Misk was a heavyweight contender. He's in the Hall of Fame. Also, Jack Reno and Charlie Weinert were heavyweight contenders, as was Quinton Romero Rojas. He's also beating middleweight contenders, light heavyweight contenders, middleweight Hall of Famers, light heavyweight Hall of Famers. Tommy Gibbons, of course, also fought heavyweight, as did Rosenblum, but Rosenblum was more known for his work at light heavyweight, but he still had a sizable career and beat a number of heavyweight contenders as well. So yeah, another second fantastic slide, 2 full slides for Harry Greb. Okay, so all in all there's nearly 100 fights listed on those first 2 slides. But we shall continue on to slide 3, okay. He twice defeats former light heavyweight contender Tony Marullo from 2 fights, and he also defeats former middleweight contender Roland Todd, before then gaining a win over another former light heavyweight contender, Art Wiegand. Next up is dangerous middleweight contender Allentown Joe Gans. Harry Greb fought him on 1 occasion, scoring 1 win, and then throughout his career, his earlier half of his career, he had a 4-fight series with Joe Burrell, winning 2 and losing 2. Next up is one of his main rivals in terms of fight number, okay, Faye Kaiser, okay, who went on to teach boxing and was a very good amateur. Didn't do as well in the pros, but he was a very capable fighter. Faye Kaiser fought Harry Greb 9 times, Greb winning 6 of them, losing 1 and drawing 2. And Harry Greb also beat a fighter with a very good record, a little bit more unproven than some of the fighters on here, Al Graber. Next up is Jackie Clark, okay. Harry Greb fought him on 4 occasions, scoring 2 wins and 2 draws from those 4 fights. And he also 3 times defeated Willie K.O. Brennan, not to be confused with Bill Brennan, the heavyweight contender. Willie Brennan was a welterweight and middleweight contender. But it was one of the fights against Willie Brennan that Harry Greb first employed his whirlwind style. He said beforehand, I'm just going to go out and throw punches till I drop. And he went out and produced one of the best fights, rated one of the best fights ever seen at that venue. It was an absolute 10-round firefest. Willie Brennan tried to keep up but couldn't match pace over the 10 rounds, but he gave it a good go in some of the rounds. Next up is the very experienced young Ahern. Harry Greb defeated him, and he also defeated the experienced Frank Mantell. Next up, another excellent fighter, middleweight contender at 1910s, Buck Krause. Harry Greb also defeated him, and then he 5 times fought Jacob Bartfield, okay, Soldier Bartfield, winning 4 fights, losing 1 and drawing 0. And Soldier Bartfield has some of the highest numbers in fights against Hall of Famous champions in boxing history. Okay, just to put that point on it, he has a lot of defeats, but he mixed in ridiculous company, as you'll see when his video comes. So next up is former bantamweight to heavyweight fighter Willie Meehan, who gave Jack Dempsey difficulties, but Harry Greb beat him twice, circling him on the outside, spearing him with fast combinations, then getting out of the way. He was just too slow for Greb. And then Greb also twice beat Battling Copin. So another slide there, okay, not with as many staggering Hall of Fame or national champions, but a lot of either very tough fighters, contenders, some borderline journeymen, but very, very experienced fighters who mixed in good company. And I think sometimes when people look at these old careers, one of the things they don't realise is they look at a guy who's had 70 wins with 30 losses and 15 draws, and they say, oh, he's a mug. But when you actually look at who the guys fought, okay, a lot of those defeats can come to very high level operators, now Hall of Famers, or former champions. And also when you look at the kind of fighters they fought, they're very, very experienced fighters. So a bit like some journeymen now. They're very difficult. Some young prospects or some intermediate prospects heading for top 10 level struggle to get rid of them because they know how to survive, they know how to tie up. It's the same in all boxing eras. So even in Harry Greb's era, a whole number of these fighters, like Young Ahern, he's not a Hall of Fame fighter, okay, but he has a super tough resume. Frank Mantell the same, okay, Soldier Barfield the same. These fighters are not held in as high regard as Hall of Famers, but they were very tough, very capable, experienced fighters who had mixed in really good company, had fought a lot of rounds against elite or Hall of Fame opposition, and therefore could be a real handful on the day. And sometimes I think that goes unrewarded. People just focus too much on Hall of Famers, Hall of Famers, Hall of Famers. And I think sometimes you need to look deeper, which is why in my opponent rankings do factor every opponent in a fighter's career based on their level. So onwards we go, okay, to the final slide of names, and there's still good names on this slide as well. Okay, Hadi Greb twice defeated Augie Ratner, okay, in one fight, very close after 18 rounds. Greb put a spurt on last 2 rounds and gained the win, but a very tough fight for him. And he also 7 times fought the very tough contender Clay Turner. Now Hadi Greb won all 7 fights against Clay Turner. He also defeated former heavyweight contender Gumboat Smith towards the end of Gumboat's career, and he 3 times beat the capable journeyman stroke contender Tommy Robson, scoring 3 wins from 3. And when I say journeyman, I'm not diminishing, I'm just meaning they're not top level fighters, but they can be very capable. Next up, another fighter, very experienced, mixed in silly company, and was a very experienced fighter, Chuck Wiggins. Okay, Hadi Greb fought Chuck Wiggins 9 times, scored in 8 wins, no loss, 1 draw, and then he 4 times and defeated him with relative ease. Okay, heavyweight contender Bill K.O. Brennan. Hadi Greb whipped him and could whip him with relative ease, whereas other heavyweights didn't always have the same luxury. But just the latest heavyweight Hadi Greb has beaten, to add to Gumbo, to add to Quinton Rojas and Jack Reno and Tommy Gibbons, who were a top 5 heavyweight contender. All sometimes goes unrewarded for Greb how many heavyweights he fought. Now next up is Joe Chip. Okay, Hadi Greb lost to him earlier in his career, got caught with a short hook in corner, came out of ring all over the place, didn't know where he was. He avenged that defeat. At the time, some people said Hadi Greb was being moved too quickly, because even though Joe Chip doesn't have an incredible record, he was a decent puncher, he was experienced, he was tough. He of course was a brother to George Chip, the former lineal middleweight champion who Greb also fought. Next up is Harry Littleton. Hadi Greb defeated him, and then he twice defeated, from 2 fights, Billy Shade. Next up is Al Roberts, who Greb also defeated in a singular fight, and then he also beat 2 other excellent contenders. The first was Lou Bogash, who some people say should be in the Hall. I'm not sure about that. I rate him highly as a fighter and what he did, but I'm not sure if he's Hall of Fame worthy. But I wouldn't mind him going in. I'd just have to debate that in my own mind. And then he also defeated the excellent middleweight contender Brian Downey. Next up, 2 final names. The first is Jack Reddick, who Hadi Greb defeated in a singular fight, as he did Owen Phelps. So, okay, there is a monumental career. There is 152 fights highlighted there. Okay, 152 fights. Now, Hadi Greb scored 123 wins from those 152 fights, with 19 losses and 10 draws. And also, most of those losses he also avenged. So, monumental career. That's took some time to go through. Okay, so let us now jump onto the first of his stat slides, and some of his stats are also insane. Hadi Greb scored 48 knockouts. He could punch harder than his record shows, but he often would not plant his feet. He was bouncing around, pivoting all the time. He couldn't really pivot to get power on a shot. He was bouncing around, changing position all the time. So, he would often not get full power on his punches, but as Buck Krause and other fighters he showed, he could knock you out really bad with single shots if he actually planted his feet, but he rarely did. So Hadi Greb scored 21 knockouts in 3 rounds or less. He scored 6 first round KOs. Now he scored no KOs against champions, Hall of Famers and pound for pounders. He did score 1 KO against a rated fighter. Now Hadi Greb, okay, in terms of career rounds, he fought a huge amount of career rounds with a total of 2,581. Now Hadi Greb fought 137 title fight rounds, and the numbers here are just silly land when you look at other fighters I've covered. The rounds against champions, Hadi Greb fought 476 rounds against champions, but he fought more against Hall of Famers, coming in with an insane total of 494. And against pound for pound fighters, okay, Hadi Greb fought a staggering 586 rounds. Now the rounds against top 10 fighters, top 3 fighters and ring champions are reduced to the fact only a portion of Greb's career was in the rating era, but he still manages to fight 563 rounds against top 10 fighters, 310 rounds against top 3 fighters and 163 rounds against ring champions. And I've done estimated calculations that I cannot use because I only go on the factual information. I don't let opinion or hypothesis come into it like most do. But I've calculated his rounds against top 3 fighters would be nearly 800. I mean, that's crazy. But sadly, it's not, because most of his opponents were not in the rating era. So on to the slide against champions. Now, Hadi Greb had 46 fights against champions, including 33 wins, 10 losses and 3 draws, and he defeated 14 individual champions. Okay, they were George Chipp, Bob Moher, Al McCoy, Jack Dillon, Battling Levinsky, Mike McTeague, Kid Norfolk, Gene Tunney, Tommy Loughran, Johnny Wilson, Tiger Flowers, Jimmy Slattery, Mickey Walker and Maxi Rosenblum. So, very good list of names being there. He scored no knockouts over champions, of course, so that is 0. And when we go to the Hall of Fame category, we see he had 48 fights against Hall of Famers. He's had more fights against Hall of Famers than most modern fighters have had career fights, just to put it in context. And that's not even counting the other fights against champions who won Hall of Famers, the other fights against pound for pounders who won Hall of Famers. You know, his numbers are just insane. Hadi Greb, against those Hall of Famers, had a record of 32 wins, 12 losses and 4 draws. Now, he defeated 15 individual Hall of Famers. They were Billy Misk, Jack Blackburn, Tommy Gibbons, Mike Gibbons, Jeff Smith, Jack Dillon, Battling Levinsky, Leo Hook, Kid Norfolk, Gene Tunney, Tommy Loughran, Tiger Flowers, Jimmy Slattery, Mickey Walker and Maxi Rosenblum. And when you consider the fighters on there who are Hall of Famers, so separate to the champion slide, Billy Misk, Blackburn, Tommy Gibbons, okay, Mike Gibbons, Leo Hook, there's so many fighters on there who are Hall of Famers but not champions. So it makes you realise, if you added the Hall of Famers who were not champions to the champions and the pound pounders who were neither Hall of Famers or you come up with an enormous list of main fights against either pound pounders, champions, Hall of Famers. His numbers are incredible. But meanwhile, to an even bigger number, okay, on the pound fights, because Hadi Greb, okay, had an insane 57 fights against pound for pound rated fighters. 57. Okay, so Greb's record is 40 wins with 12 losses and 5 draws. Now, Greb defeated 17 individual pound for pound rated fighters. They were Billy Misk, Jack Blackburn, George Chipp, Tommy Gibbons, Bob Moher, Mike Gibbons, Jeff Smith, Jack Dillon, Battling Levinsky, Eddie McGaughty, Leo Hook, Gene Tunney, Tommy Loughran, Tiger Flowers, Jimmy Slattery, Mickey Walker and Maxi Rosenblum. I thought I'd missed one there, but no, there is 17 there. So anyway, Greb scored no knockouts against pound for pounders individually. But crazy numbers and crazy amounts and crazy names on those 3 slides there. Staggering numbers of fights against top level opposition of his time. So on to record against rated opponents. Now these are heavily reduced numbers, okay, because as I've pointed out many times on my prior channel and now on this video, Hadi Greb's career is significantly reduced in rated opponents because most of his career was before the rating era. Okay, but even despite that, he still manages 51 fights against top 10 fighters. I've calculated the number there would be way past 100 if ratings were around for his whole career. So Greb has a record of 39 wins, 9 losses, 3 draws. A number of those 9 defeats, okay, it's Kid Norfolk, Gene Tunney, Tommy Loughran, names of that nature. So he wasn't losing most of those fights to regular top 10 contenders. Now against top 3 rated fighters, Greb has 28 fights still, despite that massive impairment. So he has 17 wins, 9 losses and 2 draws against top 3 fighters, and he still manages 13 fights against ring champions. A number I've calculated would be over 35 if actually all his career were in rating era, just to give you an idea. So his record is 7 wins, 4 losses and 2 draws. Who is the fighter who has the record of most fights against ring champions? That will be unveiled as we go through the career videos and the periods. Now Harry Greb, despite that massive handicap on the rating, still beat 22 individual rated fighters and scored knockout over 1 individual rated fighter. So on to title fight slide. Okay, Harry Greb had 10 world title fights with a record of 8 wins, 2 losses and no draws. Harry Greb made 6 title defences and he scored 1 title fight KO. Now despite the impairment on rated opponents, he still manages 4 wins against top 10 fighters in title fights and 1 win apiece against top 3 fighters and ring champions in title fights. He also scored 3 wins against champions in title fights and 1 win apiece against Hall of Famers and pound for pounders. So, massive career video, massive career breakdown. This is the difference. Some fighters I've covered lately, if you go watch their career videos and then watch this one, you see the difference. It's staggering, it's right in your face. Now, interestingly, when I've finished the video, I'll see where Greb ranks in the new scoring criteria against Sam Langford. Okay, we'll see how that goes. So anyway, to close out the video, Harry Greb captured the world middleweight title. He's also a former lineal middleweight champion of the world and of course undisputed middleweight champion of the world. Now he did fight for a light heavyweight title. Had he scored a knockout over battling Levinsky, he would have also been world light heavyweight champion, but sadly the title was only on line by KO, and Levinsky, even though Greb was absolutely mullering at him for the last 2 rounds, Levinsky were almost out on his feet. He somehow managed to grapple and hang on and survive through those 2 rounds when Greb went after him, because Greb really went after him. He caught him with a shot and really hurt him, and just set about him near end at 9th round, and then he 10th round, then he just came out for next and went after him, but just couldn't land that one shot to lay Levinsky out. Otherwise he'd have been light heavyweight champion as well. So there is the video on Harry Greb. Again, that's all speculation because the title wasn't on the line by points, so it's irrelevant. See, Harry Greb gets the same treatment as any fighter gets. You know, I can speculate on things, but you know, that's all it is, speculation. It means nothing, okay, to Harry Greb, because he didn't get the knockout and get the title. So there is my latest career video, a massive one. Okay, there's Harry Greb. He'll join my middleweight playlist. He'll be scored in my new growing top 1000 rankings. So tomorrow we restart on the top 1000 countdown. Now I'm doing a little bit of a difference this time. We're going to take a break from career videos. I've got a number of top 1000 videos ready, and I'm going to keep getting more ready, so we're going on a little bit of a push. So after 10 I'll keep going until I catch up on myself, then I'll go back to some more career videos, but I aim to do more than 100 on my top 1000 this time. So they will start tomorrow, watch out for that. I'm the Boxing Librarian. I'm out for now.